why do we need models? So we can write, even though we write or document it how elaboratedly into the documents, we still the developers or QA who are going to read that will certainly have some kind of confusion while going through what you have written, because whatever you have written you will be able to understand it than if someone else who is reading it later on, right? So these models are used to depict the same requirements or the needs in process flow models or diagrams or plans or whatever, and we include or attach it as separate, supporting documentation along with the requirement documents. So what is UML? It's a popular standardized modeling language for object oriented software. This is the group that dictates the UML standard, so OMG, and it was created by Grady Booch, James Rumbach, and Ivar Jacobson. So they were the inventors of this modeling language. So in this, for functional requirements, we use case diagrams, and for structural models means when it goes to the system analyst or architects or design architects, they will use more technical forms of these models like class diagram, object diagram, component diagram, and these are all different. So sometimes you will be asked to write sequence diagrams as well and activity diagrams as well, but in the current software methodologies or trends, these are not very much used, but I will give you a picture or overview of what all this, but use case diagrams I will get into them elaborately. Okay. So UML conventions. So rectangles, ovals, and lines are used to define it. If you go through an example and if I show with the help of an example, you will understand it more clearly. So let's get into this. So use case diagrams are used to visualize, specify, construct, and document the behavior of the system during requirements. Provide a way for developers, domain experts, and end users to communicate with the system, serve as basis for testing. So this can be referred for testing purposes as well, like because the testers will be stepping into the shoes of an end user to test the application, right? So as use case diagrams represent how a user interacts with the system, so these diagrams and documents will be helpful for testers as well to test the final product or whatever the feature was implemented. So use case diagrams usually contain use cases, actors, and their relationships. So an actor represents a set of roles that users of use case play when interacting with these use cases or the system. So actors can be end users. If it is an ATM system, actors can be, let's take an example of ATM machine. Actors can be the customer who is trying to operate that ATM system, either to check the balance or withdraw the cash or deposit the cash. Sorry. And bank also is a actor here because they will also verify when user enters the password and pin. The bank has to verify, bank system has to verify if it is correct, then let him into the system or else reject that login, right? So actors can be human or automated systems. So here actors in the example of an ATM, the user, the customer is a human actor and the bank system is a automated system. So actors are entities which require help from the system to perform their task or needed to execute the system's functions. Okay. So actors are not part of this actual software. Okay. So use cases. What is a use case? Use case specify a desired behavior. A use case is what the system is intended to do in a particular scenario is called a use case. A ATM machine is designed to show balance to the customer, first authenticate him, show the balance to the customer, dispense the cash when he wants to withdraw, or accept the cash when he wants to deposit. So these are all the use cases for a ATM machine, right? So a use case is a description of a set of actions including variants, means the positive and negative. So if the login or pin is correct, it will let you in. If the login is wrong, then it won't let you in, it won't provide you the access. So there will be two types of actions, negative actions and positive actions, and a system performs to yield an observable result of value to an actor, and each sequence represents an interaction of actors with the system. So each sequence in the use case represents how the actor is interacting with the system. Like, so whatever he does, so he first enters his pin. If it is correct, then he is letting, and then if he selects show me my balance, then his balance is displayed. So each sequence actor has one action, and the system is also reciprocating with its action. So same thing here, again use cases and actors. So specifying the behavior of a use case, so it describes the flow of events within the use case, can be done in natural language, formal language, or pseudocode. Means natural language means what the layman's language, whatever we are talking, we can use that language. Or formal language means whatever the terminology we are using to develop the system, or else in the form of pseudocode. Pseudocode means you use some if-else statements or for statements like you use in the language to describe a use case. It depends on the project to project and person to person. So whatever the organization method follows, you will be using that. So if you have to use the pseudocode, or if you have to use any technical terminology, then you should be a system analyst. As a business analyst, you should be fine to go with the layman's terms and natural language to write your use cases and use case diagrams. So it includes how and when the use case starts and ends, and when use case interacts with actors, what objects are exchanged. The basic flow and alternative flows of the behavior as well. So basic flow is the positive flow, what it is intended to do, and alternative flows are what if something goes wrong. What if, so if the customer is trying to log into the system, if he enters the correct pin, it's fine. It's the basic flow. What happens if he doesn't enter the correct pin? What should happen? He should be rejected and the ATM card should be ejected out of the system. So these are the alternative flows. And if the system lets him in after he enters the correct pin, if he wants to withdraw some cash, if he enters the amount he wants to withdraw, then he gets that amount. He then takes the mini statement or a receipt and exits the system. That's the basic positive flow. What if there is no sufficient balance? What should the system do? It should prompt the error message and ask him if he is willing to do another transaction. So these are the alternate flows. So when the system basic flow is blocked or is not going correct, what should be the alternative flow or negative flow? They are also documented as part of the use cases. Okay, any questions? Okay,
No, no, sir.
yeah, let's move on. So this is a simple use case diagram. So this is a, let's say this is a university system. Student is an actor here, faculty is an actor here, and both of them are interacting with the system. So student registers, and after he gives the exams or something, faculty updates the grades into the system, and student views the results, and faculty also can view the results. This is a plain and simple use case diagram with only two or three actions with two human actors. And this is another example of mobile banking where customer is interacting with a online banking application, and the actors here are, one is customer and other side the actor is a system. It's the bank system. Okay, so mobile application is a use case where customer is interacting with the bank to perform these 5 sequence or 5 flows. Okay, so he can register on the mobile application, first case, and he can log in onto that. Third is he can check his account balance, he can do transfer funds, and he can pay utility bills. So this is like a high level use case diagram where you are just telling that what he can do on online banking. But when you dig deep into the system, each will have a separate logging into the system is a separate use case, and customer has to enter the username, enter the password, and there will be options where he forgot the password, what he has to do if he forgets the password, and there will be another option to change the password. So all comes under the just the login use case. So login can be a separate use case where customer can have multiple options there and multiple flows there. Just log in directly, or if he enters the wrong password, reject. If he wants to change the password, can change it, or if you forget the password, you have to provide the option to reset it. Okay, so this is the pictorial representation of a use case, and for every diagram you will be writing a use case description and attaching to it. Okay, you sometimes you might use a spreadsheet to with all these columns, or sometimes you will be using a word document and writing all this, and you will just use Visio or some other software to draw the diagram, and then just paste it into that Excel sheet or Word document and save it under your documentation. Okay, so usually a use case description contains title, author means you, the BA who is writing that, and modification modification date, where if it is if when the date it was written, or if it is modified on some other date, you write the modification, and purpose specifies the goal to be achieved. We will see everything, every field with a live example in the next slides. So overview, short description of the process, cross references, requirements, what requirements are required here, for which functional requirement or business requirement you are writing this use case, and who are the actors. So preconditions. What are the preconditions? So if you are executing the use case of a ATM machine, what are the preconditions? The ATM machine should be online and there should be power supply to that, right? So these should be the preconditions, and the customer should have a ATM card. So these are all the preconditions. And primary flow of events. So regular flow of events, like if everything goes well, what should happen? Alternative flow of events. So other flow of activities. If it doesn't go well, if something is blocking the process, what should happen? Exceptional flow, some exceptional, if in case of system failure, what you have to do, if you have put the card in that, and you enter the password, and you are in the middle of the in the flow, and suddenly the internet gets disconnected, what should you do? These are exceptional flow of events. Okay, and post conditions will be set when completes normally. So post condition will be once the customer withdraws the amount, what should happen? The ATM should return to the main menu or main screen and wait for the next customer.